Welcome back to another episode of Book Eaters. Today we're going to be talking about the Wheel of Time and all things Robert Jordan. And so we have a special guest, Cayte Peach, is joining us. She is a longtime fan of the Wheel of Time, also a lady geek and a Jordon Con attendee many times over. And then, of course, myself, Michele, is here, and
April. And another interesting thing about Cayte is that she always seems to pop up where we least expect her.
That is true. We have run into Cayte in many places that are unusual, like cemeteries.
And Jordon Con.
And Jordon Con. Well, I expected her there.
I did not. I was like, but there's so many people, and you happen to run into somebody that you think, yeah.
So, Cayte, why don't you tell us why you fell into the Wheel of Time and what, versions of the story you've read and or listened to or seen?
Yeah, so I came into the Wheel of Time probably actually my late teens. And at that point, everything was out. And I came into it because a friend, kind of a friend through a friend in grad school, but we're talking about fantasy. At that point, I was very in fantasy. One of my defining kind of funny things about being a kid I like to tell people about is that I had a crush on Frodo. I remember being in middle school, young and reading. I don't know why. I can't tell you what it was about Frodo, but something did it for me.
So Samwise Gamgee, the actor, he played Mikey in Goonies, and he was my first crush.
Mikey and Goonies.
Mikey in Goonies
was your first crush.
Which is also the character that plays Sam in The Hobbit,
yeah.
Which is close to Frodo. So not common.
So anyway, at that time, so he was just like, well, have you read or you heard about the Wheel of Time? And I was like, no. And so I started reading the Wheel of Time, and it changed my life. I define the Wheel of Time as a definitive part of my life. It was, of course, no one can say anything bad about Tolkien, right? He laid such a groundwork, but Jordan was the first I really identify with this fantasy, really inclusive, I loved how diverse it was. There were a lot of powerful women, there were a lot of powerful races, there were a lot of powerful, different ideological, even if I didn't agree with them, they were represented and they were there. And that set me down my whole fantasy is my world path. Jordan did that for me. And
awesome.
Yeah.
So you read the books.
So I've read the books several times. I've listened to the books.
So you did the audiobooks with Michael?
Oh yeah, Cayte. Those are my especially when you're working and stuff. Those are my background noise. I can't tell you how many times I've gone through the audiobooks. They're just.
But your first exposure was you.
I read
the books.
And then have you seen the TV show?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that
I've done all the things. Anything Wheel of Time, I have consumed it.
Did you watch that initial Wheel of Time?
Yes,
Terrible nonsense.
I even saw that. Mm-hmm, yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Stayed up. It was probably 1:00 in the morning. Stayed up. Made sure I caught that.
Wow, you saw it live.
I saw it live.
Wow.
When it happened. Yeah.
So I watched it on YouTube 2 years ago, but that's impressive.
No. I'm telling you, the Wheel of Time is. Anyways.
Nate stayed up to watch it too.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, now me and Nate have to be best friends.
So I got into Wheel of Time in high school as well. Had got super into it hard and fast. Mm-hmm. And then I just this was back in the 90s, and I can sort of remember I was poor, and so I was trying to get the books used. And it was The Gathering Storm is where I got hung up. Every bookstore I went to, I couldn't find it. And so then years went by, and I knew that if I was going to start back up, I was going to start from the beginning again because I'd already forgotten a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And then years went on, and it just became a bigger and bigger commitment. So I just kept forestalling it. And then Nate and I, my fiance, and I got together, and he was a huge Wheel of Time fan. I was like, I
didn't know this.
Yeah,
I should be here.
And we asked, but so he's shy, and also he's like, this is your thing. So, but anyway, so when we started dating, he's like, well, you got to finish them, and I was like, yeah, but it's such a commitment, and that was 10 years ago. So I read the first, 4 books, and then had fallen by the wayside. And then when Nate encouraged me, he was like, when am I going to have time? And he's like, well, do it the audiobooks. And I was like, no, I have my thing where I don't absorb as well with audio.
I'm the same. I'm a reader. I'm a physical reader. Yeah.
But Cate Redding and Michael Kramer.
All like praise, like,
Yes.
like you have to bow down.
I got
to them.
definitely bow
And
down.
Nate got them all for me. As much as I loved them, I've only went through the series once.
So
And then, of course, we watched the show.
And we watched
Okay.
the show together. So that I'm the same. I came into them like super late, like 2016, 2017.
Ooh,
I
it's
started.
very new.
So I belonged to the Alpharetta Guild of Geeks book club, and the first book in the series was Eye of the World. Was part of the book club. So I read that, and then someone not even in the book club, someone in like another event that I was at was telling me about how Jordon Con has the best con suite. And how like the only reason like Jordon Con is the best convention because they have the great con suite and it's very small and it's very awesome. And then I was like, you know what? I just read Eye of the World. I'm gonna read them all and then I'm gonna go to Jordon Con because it was like a year away. So I listened because I love to listen to the audiobooks. And it was after I'd already been hooked on audiobooks. So I listened to one a month every month. I finished right before the convention, and then I went to the convention.
So you went in like fresh.
So
that was really fun.
That was, the first time I ever went to the convention was right after I'd finished the books, and it was the first time I read the books, and I loved them. And I love the narrators so much that I continued to like Brandon Sanderson because I was like, I need them in my life. Like, I missed it.
That's how I got into Sanderson, too.
In my commute, I was like, where's Cate Redding? I need Cate Redding has to get me to work. I need her. So I started listening to, Brandon Sanderson books just like right after, like once a month. Like I would put in another one in between. Yeah. Because you can't just listen to one. I mean, I guess you can, but I could not. I need variety in my life. But I did listen to them all really recently, which I guess is not that recently now. 2016, 2017 is not that recent, but it feels
recent. Yeah.
And then of course, I've read the books. So I have crafted a cocktail for us today, and I want to talk about every ingredient quickly, so that we can go ahead and consume the drinks, because that's the best part.
That's what I'm here for.
So in the drink, I'm calling it Tel'aran'rhiod, and in it is mint tea, honey, corn whiskey, milk, and a little bit of rum, because rum is the drink of the season and it was required. It's required for the drink, so I've added some rum. So, and so basically, the rum portion is going to be balefire. So what we're going to do is, and I'm going to jump right to this, is we're going to put some rum in a shot glass, and then we're going to light that shit on fire.
Yeah.
When in doubt.
Hopefully time survives enough that everyone can consume this podcast. And Michele doesn't go
I'm
too far with it.
a little, not a lot, just a little, like this. And then I'm going to light it on fire. And let me have your glass, Katie.
Yay.
And then we're going to put the fire.
I can't tell you how much joy this.
We're going to add a little balefire to your drink. Oh, wait. This is overproof rum.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's so pretty. We're going to have to, like, get a picture.
Yeah, we're going to have to post a picture.
And then we're going to add some cream. Flame of Tarvalon's. White flame.
You mean Tarvalon?
No, I did not mean Tarvalon.
No, please save me.
We'll save that. Yes,
no.
Although it's not going to be much of an argument because we're all on the same page, but we will get to that later.
We will.
Just
definitely.
You have to stop listening now if you say Tarvalon.
Oh, that is a hill that I am willing to die on.
Me too.
Balefire. I'm hoping that at the end of this, we don't want to burn out patches of our tapestry.
No burning out of things. So basically, these are the ingredients of the drink. And so I'd like to go back to mint tea for just a second to talk about how mint tea is used in the Wheel of Time. So there's a couple of things. Most notably, goose mint is the kind of tea that Nynaeve drinks when she is entertaining Mogadine. Is Mogadine the way that you guys pronounce it? Because it's pronounced multiple ways in Cate Redding's. How would you say it?
Say Mogadine.
Mogadine. So she says Mogadine in the beginning, and then somewhere in the middle, she starts saying Mogadine. So, I don't know how that happens or why.
I actually can tell you why, but you can like, you want me to
tell us now.
Okay, and so the only reason I know this is because at one DragonCon, I was in a panel not in a panel, but going to attend a panel on the Wheel of Time, and I was complaining how Michael, so his voice for men at the ending changes, and it drives me crazy. I cannot stand that voice he uses for men. Like, it like grates me. But it's like, why so far into the books? Like, did he change the way he's like doing the voices? And then that's when someone there told me, they like piped up and they're like, well, it's because they actually read the last books first. And then they went back and they read the first books. And so there's some things that they corrected in the first books that actually then show up in the latter, because they actually read the latter books first. And so that's why there are things that changed.
So the earlier books are the most correct?
Yes.
Because I remember that there was a moment when it changed and I was like, who the fuck is this new character?
But anyways.
So, you know, in Jordon Con world, the characters all have very similar names. Lane, Egwene. So, like, Mogadine or how are you saying it? Mogadine. They could very, very easily be two different characters. And I was like, who is this character? And it took me a good long time to realize, oh, no, it's the same bitch.
So, yeah. Everyone kind of has their way they say things. But isn't that funny how proprietary? Can't get that word out that we get on it. It's like, no, that's not.
This is a combination of flavors I would not have ever put together myself, so I'm intrigued.
It's very good. It doesn't taste particularly alcoholic in any sort of way. Yeah, it's like dangerous. This is something. Yeah, this is that's what I was about to say. It's like this is something I will drink very quickly, and you'll be like, "Well, Katie had to exit the show."
I'm trying to think. How do you think when they started doing the audiobooks? And they recorded like their first session to their last session. Were all the books written when they started? Probably not, right?
Yeah, they had to. They started with the last one first.
Yeah,
they would have.
But no,
but
not completely towards that, because I know, because I've listened and read some things about Jordon having said that he would listen to the audiobooks and would then suggest like corrections and how you pronounce and you say things. So it wasn't like the very, very last books, but it is. And I'm sorry if there's people out there, maybe I'm wrong on that, and please don't you listen to things on podcasts and you're like, you're so wrong, and you get so upset about it. I'm very positive.
I'm sure that's never happened.
So I don't think they were completely. I think Jordon was still alive while they were starting to do the audio, but it is later in the books in which
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So goose mint was for stomach pains and heartburn, and that is what she used it. But then also fork root.
Yeah.
Tastes
very
cool,
very minty.
And minty. I assure you that I have not
what are you
poisoned
doing?
you. I have not poisoned you. Your powers will still work after consuming said drink. They gave it to Egwene in the tower to control her powers, right? And then also a couple of times they gave it to channelers to make them incapacitated.
I'm thinking of
super sick
at the little tea house that time.
Yeah. And you have to wonder, like, why do they continue to drink the mint tea? Do they just have super bad heartburn, and so they're like willing to like maybe lose their powers? Or
who was that character?
Which character?
The runner of the tea house that didn't want to betray them, but she had to.
Oh God, I don't
because
remember.
If I ever cosplay somebody, I think I might want to do her.
Do they describe her in enough detail that you could?
Yeah, because she was very conflicted.
She wasn't. I guess I'm thinking like physically, is she described?
Well, I don't know, but when
per Jordon, any named character, even though there were like 2,000 of them, if they're named, they have a backstory, and so you could look up her backstory.
That's what I want to do. So,
well, maybe you might have to go to like the archives in South Carolina.
I would be happy to, but I don't remember her name.
No.
I'm sure we could look in the Wikipedia.
But I like.
I do have my companion and my other, but I would still have to know her name in order to be able to get to her. But she's in here.
Yeah, that's what I've got to figure out is what her name is, but she knew what was wrong, and I think that shows a certain amount of honesty and bravery that not a lot of people have, because she didn't like try to rewrite the story where like somehow this isn't wrong. She knew it was wrong, but she also knew she didn't have a choice, and I respect that. She stayed honest and didn't do a lot of mental gymnastics to excuse her behavior.
I mean, I'm not sure that I respect anyone using tea for ill. The other use is the Sanchan. The Sanchan used this to find the channelers at the border of Moraine, right? Like people would try to leave and they'd be like, hey, you have to drink this tea across. And then if they got like the least bit woozy, then they were like, you're enslaved forever. Which is again using tea for evil, and I'm opposed to that.
Can we just interject that let's just accept
Hmm.
that if people are not interested in the Wheel of Time, they will not be interested in this particular
Oh,
episode,
no.
and
They should
therefore
put
we
us a
don't need to
disclaimer.
explain.
Correct.
every
Oh, also,
little
there's
thing.
going to be a crap ton of spoilers.
Yes.
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 Like,
Yes. So
yeah.
don't listen if you don't care about Wheel of Time, because we're not going to explain.
No, do
what
listen
we're
because
talking about.
you should care about
But I
Wheel of
will
Time.
say, so when if it's not a universe that you've ever delved into at all, and you're kind of curious, anything we talk about, it's not going to stick enough. This universe is so big. Anything we
giant.
say,
Giant.
it's not going to actually ruin anything for you. I don't think.
You could teach an entire college course on
it
Moraine
is-
land.
Yes, yeah.
Also,
so,
you guys know that I have one of those like little aquarium things for plants
Mhm.
that I
Terrarium?
call a terrarium
that
that I call Rand's Land.
Oh, I didn't know.
And
That's
inside
so
there is
fun.
a tiny little dragon named Theron.
I
And
love it.
And I have not been able to tell Rob what the name of it is yet because he will not watch the show and does not want to have any spoilers. So he does not know. He bought this for me for Valentine's Day, like last
The
year.
dragon or the
Oh, and
terrarium?
so
The
proud of it,
terrarium
too.
with the dragon. Like initially he didn't give me the dragon. He was like, the dragon is Tracy. And I was like, oh, my freaking dragon. And he had to go and retrieve it from the toy chest that he put it in. All right, so Honey is the next
We're going to the
We're going to the ingredient. This is how loosey-goosey and fun this podcast is. And Honey, they use... So Egwene gets some honey in her tea after she sways the novices to her side. That's when she uses it. So we know that they use honey in the tea, so it's legit. And then also honey cakes is featured prominently.
Yes, honey cake's a big thing.
But I want to talk about usquai,
Ooh!
or the corn whiskey.
I was talking about usquai just this week.
Were you?
Yeah.
So
Why?
Because now like because I'm such a Jordon fan. Like when I think about whiskey, I think usquai. Like, and that's just like what I call it now. I call it usquai.
Yeah.
It's corn
I'm
whiskey.
going to start calling
because
it
basically
usquai
in the
too.
book it's described as a drink made from corn or
Yeah.
maize. So
Yeah.
it's essentially corn whiskey, which is what this is. In here, we used Yellowstone, which was a gift from Jennifer Quinn. God bless you,
Oh, we
Jennifer
love
Quinn.
Jen Quinn.
Yeah, we do.
We love Jen Quinn.
Mhm.
And usquai. And you know that, now this is, I have some questions, and I hope that you guys can help me manage this in my head. So Avienda and Brigitte drink a lot of usquai while Rand is having sex with Elaine.
Mhm.
Do you guys remember this?
Yes.
And they're making sweet, sweet love.
Yeah.
And they're doing it to like distract themselves.
Yes.
Because they're all
Because they
linked.
can't mask. They
Because they're all-
don't know that they can mask.
They don't know that they can mask.
Well, okay, but this is a whole debate on if non-channelers can mask. or
Right. So
cannot
this
mask,
is where I'm
so.
thinking, because like in the show and in the book, like there's like a masking that they can do. Is it like, but it's usually that the channeler
channeler
can mask
Mhm.
from the person that's linked to them, but
Mhm.
not vice versa. Can they not like,
But they're both linked. You're linked both ways.
but like, can you turn off your link to the other person, or like, so like when a channeler turns off their link or shields their link from their warder, does their warder doesn't get any feelings from them, but do they still get feelings from their warder?
no,
So they mask it.
it's completely
like
masked.
a two-way mirror.
It's completely because you can think about Elias.
The wolf
And like he leaves his Aes Sedai, right? And he's like intentionally trying to outrun and like stay away from these people. And so like this is where a lot of the debate comes. Like, because if she wanted to, she could easily find him, right? Like she could easily come and like have her retribution if he couldn't mask it from his side and could completely block there being any feelings from either way.
I feel like for me to be okay with the whole Aes Sedai warder relationship
Oh, no,
is that
please.
there has to be some sort of balance where it's not always the Aes Sedai in control. You know, the warder has to be able to control something.
But do you think like there was a little bit of like free love happening? Like, can you imagine like being in like in a relationship with multiple people that when they have sex and you're not there, you can still
Like the
get
greens.
like that vibe, like you can still get the energy from that. Like,
Well, that's
What?
one of the problems that I had with why they were drinking the usquai. Like, why wouldn't they celebrate it?
But
If they're all going to be in this polyamorous thing.
But no, it's
probably
not
out.
polyamorous though.
Well,
That's
it's not,
like
because
what
it is going to be
guys are
one
talking
guy,
about it.
and he gets like his pick of like this type of woman and this type of woman. He's got like a whole collection of different personalities that he can just pull out which one he's feeling at the moment. I hate that. Whereas if
I
it's
feel like-
me and all three of us were like linked, we're sisters, and there's one guy, and y'all are having y'all special time with that dude, I'd be checked in masturbating.
right, that's what I was thinking. Like, right?
Like, why wouldn't you let that?
But Brigitte, I feel like Brigitte is like not on board.
Edit that out later.
Oh,
No way,
I
no
was
way, no way.
I was about to bring up our
No way.
women's multi-tool that we're coming up with. I'm gonna start
No way. Avienda. Like, Avienda seems like she's kind of a free spirit. Like, she's all about the
Well, and it's also more
thing.
natural. Well, okay, but this is a whole thing that I'm never sure is explained in the IL culture.
And men too.
It's because multi marriage. I don't know the right term I should use for this. It's very common, but it doesn't sound like it's polyamory. Again, it doesn't sound like
I should have said
women.
polygamous, not
Okay, yes, that's probably the better term, right? Because it's like
But they do love each other.
Avienda is used to a man having several wives, but it doesn't seem like the wives are actually romantically involved. Usually they're friends, right? They're women who respect each other and like kind of you're right. There's a respect and like a I want you in my family, but it doesn't seem like there's a romantic element involved in that.
But if you
correct,
if there was, and I would say probably the most likely would be like men and Avienda.
Oh no, it would definitely be Avienda and Elaine. Avienda and
Elaine is way too traditional.
I know, but they become like best friends.
Yeah.
They sleep together, like in the same bed. Like they end up becoming. Well, they go through the whole like rebirth ceremony together.
All right, okay.
Like,
So
I'm sorry.
for the sake of argument, we'll say it's Elaine.
I'm sorry, this is my thing.
Okay, Elaine and Avienda.
Okay,
they're pillow sisters.
They're pillow friends.
Pillow friends, and they are going to have their time.
Mm-hmm.
And Rand is aware of it.
Rand's
what do you
thrilled.
think he would be doing? He's not going to be drinking. He would be turned on by it. So why can't women be turned on by it?
They can't, and they what? But remember, there's only like really like one time you get exposure to this, and it's like the first time. I mean, at this point, it's the first time like men and Avienda have ever even met, and so then to expect like this like newfound like relationship with a lot of these people, and them just be like, oh yeah, let's like be all into this. I think that's a lot to expect. I mean, I'm not saying maybe women migrate there, but like that's a lot.
Yeah, but the book highlighted it once, but I'm sure it's.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's the thing too. Like I remember in the book when Rand has sex with Avienda, and I remember when he has sex with Elaine, but I don't remember like multiple times these things happening.
Like, no. I think he only has sex with Elaine one time, and then she gets pregnant. Yeah, it only happens one time.
But you think it happens with Avienda a lot?
You know of at least twice it's documented in the books.
I've not really ever thought of that. Who does he have sex with the most?
Men. Absolutely men. He spent the most time with men.
He did spend a lot of time with men.
I need to reread these
Sorry.
And for the listeners, we're talking about a character M-I-N, not men like M-E-N in general.
Correct.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, that is. Well, I assume if you've made it this far into this episode, you know what we're talking about.
But anyways, that was my one hang-up, is that as forward-thinking as Robert Jordan tried to be, and tried to like empower women.
And a lot of he was very
and he was, but there were still some very provincial ideas. And I don't blame him for him, because he still was like, ahead of his time.
That's not the only one. I mean, and everyone puts it on him like being Southern, and he is more old school Southern compared to like new school Southern. But his whole, you don't hurt women, you protect women, like women don't get in danger, like all of that makes like my skin crawl. Jordan, like we're not delicate flowers.
But then
like
they're also kind of badasses.
They are, but the men. But no, I'm not saying that the women actually act that way in the books. We're talking about Rand and Perrin and Matt's like their struggle, and like they literally don't kill people. They don't kill Forsaken that they should when given the opportunity, because it's a woman. I mean, and like I really struggle with that whole life.
Yeah.
Like that's.
I mean, it was the 90s.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. Like Jordan was very, very ahead of his time in a lot of things. And I think in that aspect in the book, I think he's probably trying to get this outlet of, he probably knows it's a silly and not a great way to view and think about women. And that's why he puts it on the page like he does, because he knows everyone's going to be like, come on, this is ridiculous. Like, why? I mean, I think he was probably using it kind of as an outlet, but it probably was something he also struggled with. And like, you don't hurt women.
I'll generously just say in some ways he was charmingly quaint.
Sorry, that's probably a bit of a tangent. Have you even gotten through the...
No. Another thing I wanted to say about Usquai before we move on from Usquai is that in the books, the Aiel said that sharing of Usquai is an act of friendship, which is what we are doing now. So here's to friendship.
Cheers.
I just thought of something. So our first episode was a history of the world in 6 drinks. Mm-hmm. I feel like this is a history of the Wheel of Time in 6 ingredients.
Is it 6?
I don't know, but that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
2, 3, 4. No, only 5.
It's so close.
Maybe the next time we'll do 4 ingredients. All right. So the next one is milk. which we put in just actually cream, but just a taste. And the one thing in the book, which I love, is the insults.
Yes.
That
Mother of milk.
Mother's milk in a cup.
It's like my mouse pad for work is just all the obscenities from the Wheel of Time.
What?
It's amazing, but in the middle it says blood and bloody ashes, and then like in a circular. I mean, it's huge. Like it has all the other like.
So somehow they're pumping then the Wheel of Time. They got to get the mother's milk out and into cups, right?
Well, I mean, I have never birthed a baby, but I've seen, and so I mean, you can just squeeze it.
What's interesting.
I mean, we're looking at you, April.
I don't want to brag, but I have produced.
So the other one is milk-hearted, which in Aiel means cowardly. You're milk-hearted.
That makes sense, but I didn't remember that from the book.
Yeah.
You're a hothouse pansy.
I mean,
have y'all heard of that, right?
No.
You've never heard someone called a hothouse pansy?
I feel like milk-hearted is more.
I can't even get that out. Like that doesn't roll off the tongue.
Y'all never heard the expression.
I'm not a huge fan of the word pansy.
Well, apparently they're very fragile flowers, especially if grown in a greenhouse.
But pansies like survive through the winter, don't
Wait,
they? Are those like a winter plant?
I feel like in general,
I cannot believe no one has heard hothouse
we
pansy.
tend to like think of things that are very firm and hard and easily.
You're right, we do.
As weak. I don't know why we do that.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. Right?
But there's a lot of people that don't like the word moist.
I
do
know somebody. Jessica out in Oregon.
We did talk about moist last podcast because you kept using the word hoist. We'll talk about the rum for a second now.
Oh,
so the rum. This is the last one. This is the last one. So the rum. This wasn't supposed to take this long, but we continued. I'm thinking, I don't want to stop it. So the rum was
we pre-gamed.
Is our season. Our season, we decided that rum was going to be the drink of the season, and that every episode would have rum in it.
So how long is your season? Just real quick.
8. I thought we do 8
episodes.
8 episodes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the second one. So I was like, I created this cocktail because I looked. I was like, what possible ingredients that are in the Wheel of Time could I put into a cocktail? And I was like, mint tea, check. Cream, check. Usquai, check.
We gotta fit rum
Cream,
in there somehow.
and I was like, he's talking about I'm pulling rum, and I was like, balefire. Balefire will light rum on fire, because you know what? They make overproof rum just for lighting fires. There we go.
Well, because one of the great sadnesses of this podcast, I think, is that we envisioned people making the drinks with us and
they
drinking.
Don't ever do that. They never do that. No.
This season we thought maybe they don't make the drinks because we jump around too much.
It's very expensive to make the drinks. Like legitimately everything that I used to make this drink is nonsense I had at home.
But I don't know about y'all, but I listen to a lot of podcasts like while I work. Like usually
and drinking.
You're not gonna drink at work.
But also when making dinner. But making dinner, this would be perfect. Have you little like making dinner?
So that was our goal, is like they'd see the recipe card and they're like, oh, can't wait for the next episode. I'm gonna drink with them, because I promise you, if you drink, you'll find us just funny as
I mean, if you don't drink, then we're not nearly
as funny.
Also recommending you pregame one and then.
Yeah, we had some wine before we started recording, which is legit and very Jordon Con.
It would have been rude not to. You brought a gift.
I did bring a gift.
Yeah.
Don't be rude. Show up at your host house with a gift. It's very Southern of you. Jordon would approve.
You can't go wrong with wine.
So I want to talk about the TV show.
Okay. Oh, we're just gonna go right into
that.
I'm
gonna switch and talk. So my big.
I'm so intrigued.
I don't like the way they say Tarvalin.
We all agree on that. Yeah.
That bothers me. That bothers me a lot. Is there any other pronunciations that you guys like twitch at? Like make your eye twitch, make you drink.
I have much bigger concerns with the show. Like, Tarvalin does drive me.
It stands out so much.
It does stand out so much.
So what do you think they got wrong?
Oh man. Okay, and I will honestly say to anyone who's like, oh gosh, there's another person who's like, I will say I did not expect them to stick exactly to the books. I did not come in like that. Mm-hmm. And after the first 2 episodes, I even went to like the Amazon, like they had a pre-screening event and like all that. Like I did all that stuff, and like I watched the first 2 episodes and I was like, I'm pumped. This is good.
Yeah.
It's not exactly like the stories, but it's fine. You know, I was pumped, and I was still pumped past like episode 3, and then it just quickly took a big nosedive for me. And I'm very concerned now. At this point, they've created I mean, they've essentially had to have created a whole other world inside Robert Jordan's world. This is not, unless they make some big turns, going to in any way be able to tie back to the story as in which it was written.
Yeah.
And I to each their own, but that's a struggle for me. Like I wanted, and everybody has a different opinion, right? Like so a lot of people say, like, if I just wanted to have that same story told, I would just read the books. And I do get that. And so I wasn't wanting to have exactly the same story, but I wanted it to stay true to Jordan, I guess, is kind of where I'm at. And I feel like that has been lost.
So I feel the same way as you. Like, except for I thought that it would be stay true to the books. Like, I wanted it to be, the exact same story. That's what I wanted. Oh. But I recognize it's not possible.
It's not.
It's cool. And like,
it's a different medium, right? There has to be changes.
There are some things that happen in like mediums where you're like, okay, there's some things you'll let slide. And I was actually fine until the last episode. The last episode, I was a little grumpy, just because a lot of the choices they made bugged me. Yeah. But up until then, I was on board. I'm still on board. Really? I'm still gonna watch every episode. I'm gonna do it. But I was lost. It wasn't until the last episode that I was like, dude, and there were a couple of characters like, if you kill those characters, then you lost me. Okay, you lost me forever. Like, no.
Okay, this is part of my struggle is I feel like Rafe came in and he really tried to like endear himself in like the Wheel of Time community, like, oh, I'm one of you guys, and we're saying really treated this well. Right. Well, first of all, what you produced is not, and then second of all, like some of the stuff he's came out and said here recently is like and maybe it's because of the reaction of the book fans to the show. Like now he's just becoming antagonistic. But he's literally came out and said things like, I am excited and happy to kill off people that's going to upset book readers. It's like now almost like I want to make you angry. And like that's hard for me to hear. Like it's one thing if you want to make a change for the purpose of like creating a better story in this different medium. Okay, I'm going to give you some credit. But for you just to be like, I want to do things that just upset book readers, that's not meant with a true heart.
I am not one that does the like extra content. Like, I didn't know who Rafe was until Michele talked about him, and I was like, I was more fascinated by the term showrunner. That sounds amazing. How do you become one? So I don't know the antagonistic. I do still sort of have that innocence where I feel like, oh, he's had to, or they have had to adapt. And so I try to look at the show as if I was someone who hadn't read the books. And there are some things that I think were pretty smart.
Well, you could have worked for the show because they literally had writers on the show that had never read the books. Yeah. This is true. Yes. Thank you. Yes. So,
okay. I will. So we're gonna talk.
It makes you like realize like he was selling you a load of shit.
They get a job to write for a show and then not read the books.
They had writers. And I could see maybe having like one outsider just to give you like a fresh perspective, but like I'm saying multiple writers.
Yeah, I don't understand how as you're given, hey, I just got this new job. I'm going to be writing for this show about this great series. Maybe I should do some research. No. I don't understand the writer's perspective. If I was given a job to write...
at the minimum, they should read Eye of the World.
Thank you.
So if you're out there, writers of the show that got the job...
Read the
and then decided it wasn't even worth your time to read.
All right, so I didn't have that much of a problem with some of the added characters. Like, they added some characters, and they added some context. And I thought some things they did well.
Oh, I was about to say, I think there's only one thing that I think they casted horribly. Otherwise, I think they did a really good job casting. I'm going to give some credit where credit's due.
Let's save that, because I do want to talk about the casting.
Okay.
Before we move on from the things that they got wrong, one thing means so much to me, I just want to say it.
Okay.
Because a lot of the changes I was fine with, because I went into it seeing as the show is something separate from the book, and I'm not going to have those expectations. I prepped myself as openly as I could. But the big problem I have with how they minimize Loyal. Yeah, because if you did not read the books and you only knew Loyal from the show, his assumed death, they just minimized his import.
Yeah,
that hurts me because
he didn't even open the goddamn way gate.
So yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh, we can't even get me started on all the way gate and like Matt and like all of that and like.
People are listening because they love the show so much. I don't judge you. I'm just saying that you're missing out. You're missing out on one of the great characters of literature. and that is loyal.
Yeah, Loyal's important to me. And like when I watched that episode, and I was like, if they kill Loyal, I'm all the way the fuck out.
But, I'm also all the way the fuck out. They kill Loyal, I'm all the way the fuck out.
But my problem is that if they did kill him, who would grieve unless you'd read the books? They made him such a small character, you wouldn't even care.
I mean, he was barely interesting. Although my sister loves him, and she only watched the show.
Okay, but as much as we've been like shitting on the show, what's something like you really love about the show?
I got one thing. I've only got one thing.
Okay.
What's
that? Only one?
Only one thing.
Okay.
What's yours?
I do like. So if you read Eye of the Storm, you knew from jump that Rand was the Dragon Reborn.
Eye of the Storm.
It's the Eye of the World. Sorry.
I was like, are we talking about a different book series?
Eye of the World. Eye of the World. If you read,
way too much alcohol being consumed. Yeah.
You knew right from the beginning who the Dragon Reborn was. There was never any question. I do like how the show tried to introduce. You don't know who it is.
Yeah. So
I thought that was nice.
I didn't particularly like that because I wasn't sure what the show was gonna do. I was like, are they gonna fuck this up?
Change it? Yeah, I did have some concerns.
Like I had some like a little bit of, but it's cool that they did that. But I also thought that the Lan and Nynaeve connection.
It seems so quick and like you didn't have any of that development.
There wasn't any in the book either.
Okay,
like,
but
we're
already complaining again. We're supposed to be talking about
but in the book, I was like, wait, Lan and Nynaeve are in love? When the fuck did that happen? And then, but in the show, I saw it.
Oh, I've got one more thing.
I saw it, and I was like, all right, I'm on board. I see the chemistry. I see the sexy time.
Can we talk about how hot Lan is in
Jesus.
the show? Oh my Lord!
So hot.
That would be one of the casting they got right.
Also, I just want to talk about how you guys earlier were talking shit about vision boards, and I need you to know. You need to know that Lan, the actor that played Lan, put it on his vision board that he wanted to play Lan, and now he's fucking playing Lan. So vision boards work, bitches.
April and I shit on vision boards. Michele loves vision boards.
I do.
Choose your team.
She loves them so much she hosts.
She does host
every year
vision board sessions.
Dude, I do, and people show up for them.
They do.
I'm not.
It's fine.
Everybody has their way in which they. Okay.
Right.
So what else do you like?
I did like the added element of connection between Moraine and Swan.
I did not.
I
did not.
I like.
Okay,
that.
but
it explained a little bit more of how loyal.
No.
Okay.
But what does that mean? And to not go too far into spoilers, what does that mean for some things that develop down the road?
Yeah, so that was a problem for me too because I was like the scene in the book in the show. When it's like she's like almost wedding vows to Swan.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what about fucking Tom? What about fucking Tom?
I was trying not to say it, but what about fucking Tom?
What about fucking Tom?
If they kill the Tom and Moraine relationship, I'm also fucking out at that. Like,
well, no, but I feel like
Tom fucks. All right, like this is like established. Like,
yeah, but I feel like in that case, they're all like very modern in how they see relationships. Like when we're together, it's us. And when we're not together, we have our own things.
And maybe they still develop that.
It felt very much like a marriage commitment.
But I will say,
I thought you were going to go on the Garrick.
Elaine's brother?
No, the one that Swan gets in after she's been stilled. The military guy, Gareth.
Oh, you know about Gareth Brand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see that.
I didn't even.
That's my other. Man.
Well, but I will say, in keeping with it, I think they're going to write out the Tom and Moraine.
No.
Well, because Tom got cut out of all of that Eye of the World in which Tom and Moraine are together, right?
Yeah.
Like, because he leaves the Two Rivers with him, and spoilers beyond fucking spoilers.
We've talked about that so many times.
All of that has been cut out.
I hate that because he was so integral to their flight.
Yeah, like you don't get what we missed was Loyal. We missed Tom. Like both of those characters.
Yeah.
And their guidance and their importance were kind of missed. Although I felt like they did try to do callbacks to Tom, like when they get there and he's like, Tom told us to go to this place. You see how Matt gets upset about Tom not being there, like that whole thing. Like you see that there's like they kind of like try to allude to the fact that there was more Tom influence than they showed us, but there was so much fucking more Tom influence, and like
that's
why
I feel like that. maybe the reason why I haven't made like signed sealed. I'm done with it. Is because I feel like maybe because they already like jumped so far ahead in some places that I feel like maybe the next season they're gonna do like back?
No, they're not. I think they're running a new story. Like
You don't think they're
I
going
mean,
to
the same
flash
thing
back
with like
and
him
suddenly?
having already introduced the Sean Chan. Like,
Wait,
we're
okay.
already so,
But that was a
like,
teaser. Let me just be sure.
No,
You're
I think-
saying you're telling me that there's not going to be flashbacks in which we suddenly understand the integral importance of Tom and Loyal.
No.
Okay, I'm done with the show.
But it doesn't mean like you have to be
I
excited
guess the
about
reason
it.
why I have so
like-
much faith is because Harriet was so involved this time.
But
She
she
wasn't.
wasn't. Same with Sanderson. Like neither of them were very involved.
Like
at
Sanderson, like
all.
only saw the first show, and he was like, "I had some problems with this bit," and then in the
You don't have any control. I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't. I mean, then that I've only had to learn
I don't
to be in this role. It's like
understand
once you give over rights, you give over rights. Like you
So
don't
what
have
kind
say.
of snow job did this Rafe character do to Harriet?
Oh no, he like fucking blew smoke all
I
over.
mean,
our
you
fucking
remember,
asses.
you were there. Maybe you weren't. Maybe it was just you and I when we were talking to the family at Jordon
Oh,
Con.
that was us, Michelle.
You were
always
there.
trying to write
Were
me
you
on
there?
stories.
I was
I
like,
feel like you
wasn't
were
On
there.
the stairs, yes.
No, it
You hit him
wasn't.
with the Thor
This
hammer.
wasn't on the stairs. I
Is
was.
this why you were so drunk?
I
at
was
Jordan
so
Con with
drunk
your
that-
Thor hammer?
I fucking hit every single member of Jordan's family with the hammer.
Yes.
And they loved
This
it.
is the most
But-
amazing story I've ever
I
And
got
then
permission from every one of them because I
It's
don't do anything
enthusiastic
without
consent.
enthusiastic consent.
This
Let's
is when-
talk about Jordon Con for a
Okay.
minute.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was going to tell about my didgeridoo.
Let's talk about your didgeridoo because that was the best story ever. Tell us about the didgeridoo that you won at Jordon Con last year.
Michelle was present for my winning of the didgeridoo. So at Jordon Con to raise money. So I'm going to give some context here for people. So Jordan died of a very specific type of cancer. And so every year Jordon Con raises money to donate for cancer research specifically for this type of cancer. And so as part of that, they do a fundraiser, like an auction event. And a lot of the time, not all the time, but several years, like the Jordan estate will donate items that you can bid on. And so they had some Jordan items this past year, and one of which was a didgeridoo, which for people that don't know, it's like the Australian like Aborigine like instrument that they've. I'm gonna call it an instrument, right? But it's just a wooden tube. It's usually very decorative.
It's
and
an
stuff.
instrument. You've been.
I would call it an instrument, but I didn't want to give people that didn't know and you look it up. Like it's just gonna look like a wooden tube, and it is. It's due to like really intricate and like.
I went
like,
to a Violent Femmes concert one time, and Gordon Gaynor played the didgeridoo.
The didgeridoo. Well,
yeah.
that's a lot of technique. I mean, because it's all done with your mouth. Like it's literally all done with your mouth.
Like a trombone.
Well, but it's a piece of wood. It's just like a piece of wood. I mean, it's amazing.
It's like a flute.
Have
like
you
a
played it?
long one.
No one is allowed to put their mouth to my didgeridoo. We're gonna be nervous. I told my
No,
husband, I was like, this has probably Robert Jordan's like genetic DNA on it. We might be able to resurrect him one day. Like no one is tainting this with their like foreign
You
DNA.
haven't even put your lips upon it.
No, I have
You
not.
haven't played the didgeridoo.
I have not.
You got a didgeridoo and you haven't played it.
I have Robert Jordan's didgeridoo and I haven't.
I would
played
have
it.
need to lightly press it against my lips.
No, it is like I'm getting angry. Like I'm like having to hold my heart. Like you think about it right now. Like no one's putting their mouth to it. It's like hanging in my living room.
So you won?
I won the didgeridoo. It was a very so there were just a few items this past year from Jordan's estate, and this was a didgeridoo that he got while he was in Australia doing one of his book tours, and he was gifted this didgeridoo.
I was like your technique going in like I'm gonna come home with that.
Oh yeah, I'm coming in with the didgeridoo. Like I was like, just like I mean, Michelle was there. I was like refreshing. I was like, oh, they bid up. You know, I was like, this didgeridoo is
It wasn't intense.
And well, I'll never forget. You know, there's like some moments that you really remember because you're like, oh, that person thought I was incredibly obnoxious. But so Michelle was going to do like, I guess it was
like a dinner event.
a
with
dinner,
people, yeah.
like, but like a kind of like where you do like rotating tables or
Yeah.
something. But where you were already with like your kind of group of people like set apart from us, and I had just won it, and I was so fucking excited. I went into Michelle and I was like, you know, just like bouncing and bouncing. And I was so excited. I was like telling her, and I look at this guy, and he has the looks of like, who the fuck? Like he was like not impressed with me or my behavior.
He didn't know about the didgeridoo.
He did it, even though I was trying to tell Michelle. But
I think he'd also been on the didgeridoo and was a little pissed off.
maybe
Well,
I
then
know.
fuck him.
I fuck him. My fucking didgeridoo.
I don't remember this guy, but short. I think he was dressed as an Ashaman.
Maybe, but he was
Who dresses like an
very
Ashaman? Come on.
unimpressed with me. But anyway, so I have Robert Jordan's didgeridoo. It's hanging in my house
Very
next to
exciting.
like my personalized, like leather covered, like versions of the Wheel of Time. I have all.
Wow.
That's very exciting.
Well, Jordon Con was my first con ever.
Shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you been to any others? Since?
None. Well, no. Last year was my first, and that was the first con I'd ever been to. I've never been to DragonCon because it's always
DragonCon is gonna blow your fucking
I will never
mind.
go. It's the weekend of my birthday.
You're gonna go sometime.
It's
You have to go.
DragonCon is the highlight of my year. It's
Same.
like my Christmas. Like
Same.
it is.
I like
the
for my
highlight
birthday
of my
to.
year.
This is my selfish side. I like for my birthday to be about me and me to be the focus. It's not. I'm not going to be the focus at DragonCon.
I mean, you could be.
You could be.
Evie's birthday is also during DragonCon,
She's a better person than me.
and this year at DragonCon we did a whole thing for Evie. So I mean, we could do a whole thing for you.
yeah, our
Okay.
birthdays are so close.
I'm just saying.
But in any case, this was my first con, and I loved it.
It's so much. Well, Jordan.
Well,
Like
Michele taught me into it because she was like, "Well, Jordon Con's so small.
It
it
is.
is
It is
so
so
small.
small.
And it's
Like the tiaras,
yes,
right?
the
Like
tiaras.
you always wear a tiara on Friday or any day, I guess now.
Yeah, you
Because
can
I
wear
saw
it
Fridays.
whenever.
So you said you know Jennifer Lyons?
Well,
So there's two
Lee.
stories I've heard.
Yeah, it's not lying.
What is it?
Liang. I
Liang.
think. So you say I don't know. I mean, I admire her and like worship the ground she walks on.
I
her
can tell
and
that
her
by the way your face just got.
She does not
really-
know. I mean, she would if she saw me, she'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's that bitch." Who, like is always at all the shit. Like she like stalks me
That
around.
corrects
She
people
like
when they
she
mispronounce
like
my name.
lives. She lives at the high fantasy like DragonCon panel because she also runs the high fantasy panel at DragonCon,
Right.
and I live in that panel. Like
So the story is that she ran for president of the Southern fandom, and she made a deal with her husband that if she won, he would get her a
Jimmy.
sash and a tiara.
Oh, she knows even the spouses.
Oh, I know
So-
everybody's
so-
name. I'm telling you, like
And
I
then-
worship these people.
So this is one of the stories. There's more than one story. I've heard many stories, and so because of that, she said every woman should have a tiara, and so now we wear tiaras.
I don't actually
Is this
know
a story
why.
that you know?
I do not know this story.
So the other
I know
story
it's a big thing that everyone wears a tiara.
is that someone named Lisa Wallstrom. Do you know her?
Mm-mm.
Okay, apparently she runs a talk show called Loose. Wait, the
Sounds
Loose
right
talk,
up my
the
alley.
Loose Poodle talk show, and in that there's something called Tiara Time, where they basically wear tiaras and drink shots of tequila.
Oh, that sounds like me.
It sounds like
Tequila is
woo. I mean, I'm from the Southwest. Tequila, baby.
tequila is
I mean,
like
that's-
my
I like
alcohol of
mezcal.
choice. Like oh,
And then she said that everyone
Yeah.
should wear a tiara, and drink tequila, and so then it became a thing, Tiara Time. So I don't know which story is true, but those are the two stories
I
I've heard
don't
about
know.
tiaras. But I do know that everyone wears a tiara.
yeah, I do know that too. I don't know where it.
On Fridays, women wear tiaras and men wear kilts, right?
Yeah,
That's
that's
the-
a big
I
thing.
love a man in the kilt.
Oh yeah.
I also am a fan of the kilt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been to the kilt lifter show at DragonCon.
Yeah.
Have you been to that?
No, I haven't. Is it
It's
good?
it's legitimately not worth it
I
because
would
they
say
don't
it
show you.
wasn't.
They don't show you anything. It's
Well, I'm
like
also always at
a
DragonCon with my
whole
husband,
tease.
and like he's not. What? He's not
It's you have to wait in line at 2 a.m. outside
Yeah.
streets in Atlanta, and then you get in the humidity and the heat, and then 2 a.m. and you're tired because I'm old, and then fucking
You know how
nothing.
they have that thing like for like women where seeing a flash of the ankle was just so enticing. For me, it's when they have their socks all the way up and then their kilts all the way down, and all you get is a little glimpse of their knee.
So maybe kilt lifting is for you.
Maybe it is for you. It's
So-
like Michelle and I both stare at you like
Maybe
Nobody else
maybe this is for you.
maybe this is for
Nobody
you.
else thinks so.
No, but I will say
either.
like a man like a dress coat, you know, where they wear like the jacket, like the like
Yeah.
oh my god, like what my panties.
What do you
like,
think is the sexiest
Yes.
joint?
joint?
Who was like what?
You know, like ankle, knee, shoulder.
Hip
Ooh.
hip bone? Is that a joint?
I think probably hip is the least sexiest
I don't know. If they
I
got
have
that little...
never
because it has that weird divot.
thought about this in my life.
Like if you had to look at like
a man's joint.
yeah, you just get to see a joint, one joint.
I mean, I guess. I mean, maybe I would also choose the knee. I
Yes.
guess. I mean, but they don't have a. I mean,
I
no
wouldn't
one has good joints to pick from.
No, I wouldn't.
certainly not at our age.
I wouldn't pick. I wouldn't pick knee, although it's close second.
What
I
would
feel
you
like
pick,
the shoulder.
elbow?
The
shoulder
If
joint.
they have a good shoulder, I mean, they have
Well,
to
of
have like
course.
they have to have like a muscular shoulder.
Yeah.
I mean, but if it's just like a fucking shoulder, like no, I'm not into that.
So the other thing is Jordon Con is I'm just gonna have to hose these bitches down. I don't know what's happening here. Okay, so hot dogs is a big thing at Jordon Con, and the story for that apparently is that every year on Saturday they eat hot dogs, and one year they
always.
So apparently one year, I'm gonna say like 4 years ago, they changed the size of the hot dogs. They went from like small.
No,
to
they're
like
big.
large.
They're like foot long.
And so they ordered like as many as they normally do, but people only eating one. So then they had the hot dogs all the time, and then apparently the hot dog smell permeated the whole con.
There is nothing worse than hot dog water.
Because legitimately, and then it like melts into the hot water. And I remember like people dressed up as hot dogs.
Yes, they do.
At con, like it's a huge Jordon Con. And the person that orders the hot dogs is pretty upset about it and doesn't like to be talked to about it. Like, I've seen some comments on the Jordon Con SharePoint site, and she's like, no, please, no more questions about the hot dogs. I'm really sorry that I ordered the hot dogs. That's all I have to say.
But they still
How many times
the hot dogs are like a defining feature.
It's like every Saturday, right? They have a hot dog.
No, I mean, we don't do the con suite like every day usually, but I think they have the hot dogs like every day. But it's just through like a certain period of time, like they have hot dogs. Am I wrong on this?
I don't know. I don't eat hot dogs because I'm a pescatarian.
Well, I do eat hot dogs, but we don't do the con suite all the time.
Well, let's talk about this. These are new terms they've come up with.
New
for
terms?
the people who read the book.
Oh,
I haven't even heard.
Yes, the book cloaks and the what are they? So it's a
show sworn.
The show sworn and the book cloaks. Yeah.
Why do they have the cooler name?
I think that it goes both ways. Like I think that people talk about the show cloaks and the book sworn.
I want to be a book sworn.
I think they're interchangeable.
We are a book sworn.
But I really hate the fact that the fandom has been cut like in half, and then there's like this weird line that you can't like the show and like the books. You have to do one or the other.
That happens.
I don't like it.
I hate it. Well,
it didn't happen with Shadow and Bone. Like I feel like Shadow and Bone, which is definitely a different series. It's Lee Bardugo is my favorite. Like that series has pretty much embraced the show. Pretty much.
And the casting was so good.
It was different.
Which I did want to do a deep dive.
Lord of the Rings.
I was about to say Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, they embraced the show.
Hobbit in this.
But the Lord of the Rings.
We're only including the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Legit recently read Lord of the Rings and watched the shows, and there are a extreme
No,
number of differences. There's lots of differences between the show and the books.
But
and
it's so good.
But I think that the people who they embraced it.
Yeah, I embraced it.
But I don't think that they made huge mistakes like they did in The Wheel of Time, where they killed beloved characters, or
they completely changed the storyline.
That's
the storyline is the same between the book and the.
There are some differences.
There are definitely differences, but it's
I feel like
the major under like
I think in that fandom, like they just rolled with the punches more. And I think the reason they didn't roll with the punches,
like, they still created the same story.
I'll tell you what was
those.
missing.
They're not creating the same. Again, like we were talking about earlier, like at this point with what they've done with The Wheel of Time, you cannot tell the same story.
No, it's hard because
you can't.
Because of you're right. Because what we're gonna say.
I'll tell you what's missing.
From
the reason between Wheel of Time and
Lord
of the Rings. Every decision that was made with Lord of the Rings by Peter Jackson, you could tell was meant. It was loving.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel the love that Peter Jackson had.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling that with Wheel of Time. I feel like, how can I
You don't think
twist
Rafe loves
this?
it?
There's also no way they had writers on Lord of the Rings. I had never read those fucking books.
Right. And it all comes back to... So I feel like Rafe, like you said, I feel like he is he's a snake oil salesman.
Yeah.
Snake oil
salesman.
He's a snailsman.
He's a snailsman.
This goddamn snailsman. I'm their snake oil.
I feel like Peter Jackson loved the series, and I feel like Rafe loved the series. But Peter Jackson made Lord of the Rings movies through the
the Lord of the Rings. I think Rafe is making Wheel of Time for Rafe.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No, he looked at through the lens of love, and Rafe has looked through the lens of profit and popularity.
I think that the difference is that the Lord of the Rings had like everyone tangentially knows that Lord of the Rings. Like everyone, regardless.
I disagree.
Regardless,
No,
regardless
I would disagree on that too.
if you're a fantasy reader or not,
no,
you know, because everyone read The Hobbit when they were in the
my
third
family
grade.
did not. My mom, I just made my mom watch like the first Lord of the Rings like a few years ago. She had never seen it in her life. She had no idea
that's
what she
how
was
but
watching.
everyone had read The Hobbit. Like you didn't. There was
Your
a
mom loves you so much.
She does.
Lisa
says
She does love me so
it was
much.
required reading when I was a kid. The Hobbit.
Oh no, not you.
Nope.
Grew up in small town Tennessee. You are not reading the fucking Hobbit. Like,
I mean, I grew up in
We're
a
reading
small.
Where the Red Fern Grows.
I read that. Like I grew up in a very small town in Arizona.
we did not read
Sonoyta,
that.
Arizona, where there were 15 children
Kill
in
a
the 5th, 6th,
Mockingbird?
7th, and 8th grade combined. We're talking fucking small ass
And
school.
you read we did not read
We
the
read The
Hobbit.
Hobbit, and we read Where the Red Fern Grows, which is why I do not tolerate any fucking films with dogs
like
in
we
them
read-
ever
I
again.
don't either. Yeah, I don't watch
Red
animal
Badge
movies.
of Purge.
Again, no. I read that as well. No. So, red shit out. In general, it's going to be sad. It's going to break your heart. The word red is in the title.
Yep. Nope. Red rum.
Just run away.
Red rum.
Red rum is not in the title, but also
But okay, so
scary as shit.
so so now I'm thinking about
But I
let's
think
think about big fantasy adaptations that have taken place
Let's think about.
recently. And I'm thinking of the trilogy, and then I'm thinking about Harry Potter, and then let's think about Game of Thrones, and let's think about The Wheel of Time. None of them deviated as fucking much as The Wheel of Time. It's the only one that fucking took a complete left turn from all. I've read all those stories.
I mean, yeah.
many times.
Okay.
I mean, they basically put it into a place right now where it's difficult for me to see
There's
how the story is going to play out the way that I expect it to.
correct.
And also, there was not enough braid pulling at all. Like,
The
I
tugging
didn't.
of the
They
braid.
like
Or
fucking,
the
they like
adjusting
made
of the
Nynaeve
skirts.
like I don't know what they did to her.
I
But
was
like Nynaeve is not the same character at all. And I'm not saying I want it. I would say Nynaeve is.
I like
everyone's
her.
gonna hate me on this. I hate her. in the book.
hate her in the
Dimmed her too much in the show. Like she didn't retain any of her actual real feistiness.
Right.
Like,
I was gonna
You
say
don't
that same
agree?
thing. Like I
No.
hated Nynaeve so much in the book. So I'm like, Jesus
Nynaeve
Christ,
is
I
girl,
actually
it's
liked-
not always about you.
I liked her in the show, but I hated her in the books. But you know the
but
problem.
you don't think it's too far?
The problem with her in the books for
It's a
me
bridge
was that
too
she
far.
reminded me of all the things about myself I hate. You know, like she just reminded me of all the things about myself that I don't like.
No.
And
that's
so-
not what it's just about Nynaeve. That's
I mean,
all.
But
She's
but
a
I
bitch.
She's a fucking
yeah,
bitch.
same. So, but there was some
No.
problems.
No, this
There
is
was-
not the same.
There was a problem.
I have tried to make you a bitch and you refuse.
I am very bitchy.
We
There
are
is some,
all very bitchy. We are not Nynaeve.
but Nynaeve was very like black and white.
Yeah, and it was all everything makes her angry.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Everything.
every emotion she expresses as
Everything.
anger.
So yeah,
As like a child.
that's legit
like
a
a
problem
child.
A
that
tantrum.
I have had my whole life. And so like I related to that in a way that you guys don't know me before I started working on myself. But I'm just saying like things about her bug me a lot because they reminded me of things about myself I don't like. But I did like her in the show. I did not like her in the book. But I still wanted her to pull her fucking braid a lot. And she only really did it in like the last maybe 2 episodes.
I agree. I loved the idea that they were building out what I was hoping was that they would make sense of all the braid tugging by making it like a PTSD like
They
I
did it.
liked
It
that
was
they
just- yeah.
toned her down some, but I just think they took it too far.
I mean, she was still kind of ornery.
she wasn't.
No.
No, not like she was in the book.
No.
Well, and I'll tell you, that's one thing that we haven't talked about that was controversial that I agree with Brandon Sanderson's take on was the whole Perrin killing his wife thing.
Fucking wife in the refrigerator thing.
I agree. What I like about that arc was, and I'm just gonna say it. I hope you're ready for it. I
Probably
never
not.
liked Fael.
Oh,
I don't-
She's my favorite fucking character!
Are you kidding me? Oh my god, I hate her.
I know. Everybody hates Fael. Fael is my fucking heart, and y'all can all die, and I don't
How
care.
can you not like Nynaeve?
Fael-
But Fael's cool.
Fael's more than cool. Fael is me. Like, I am fucking Fael.
No.
Nope.
I refuse
Yes.
to believe that.
No, No, Fael gets so much shit.
She's
and
so
She
terrible.
deserves
She
it.
is not terrible. What is terrible?
She
Okay.
manipulated Loyal.
It's all about her own glory
Okay.
and her own achievements.
No, it's not. She uplifts Perrin so much. She is all about
to make herself.
No. It is not about herself. It is about Perrin. It is about.
You know what? Maybe you're naive as my Fael. This is what I fear about myself.
No.
Am I a Fael?
You are. You probably are if you hate her that much, and that's why I love her so much. Because it's like that's fucking me, and it's all the shit that's. I'm not gonna say she's somebody like Angel, right? There's a lot that's bad about her, but it's like, that's who I am. Like I need a man that's gonna like stand up to me and be like, you want to fight about it? I'm like, all right, let's just like fight this out, and then I'm like, oh, okay, this is fine, we're good. But otherwise, I'm gonna be like on you. It's like. I need that. That's how I work.
Oh, I'm
like,
so uncomfortable with myself right now. Oh, shit. So you came out to your Southern family about your atheism sooner than I did, and you just came out about your inner Fael.
Again,
my God. I see it now. But to me, Fael is everything I hate in myself.
Oh, gosh, you guys. This is deep.
But I don't know. But, okay, we want to talk about, but my, like, non-controversial, even though Fael is my favorite, my non-controversial favorite, like, Wheel of Time character is Tel'aran'rhiod. Like,
who?
Tel'aran'rhiod. He, in the Band of the Red Hand.
Okay.
He is my, like, he makes my, like, heart sing.
I do remember.
I love him. He's the most sarcastic, dry, like, hilarious, like, bastard ever. And, like, I love him so much.
This is why, like, I've had this haunting thought in the back of my mind, like, you need to reread, because you skirt over so much your first.
Oh,
and I do remember being like, okay, next time I'll pay more attention. Because, yeah, he's got that, the red hand,
so dry.
The band of the red hand, there's a lot of depth just to that.
Oh, yeah.
Which, let's talk about this. I am not.
Michele is like, we are not on topic.
She's fine with it.
Nobody answered any of my questions.
We're used to this.
It's fine.
Well, it's because y'all brought up Fael and you're trying to shit on her, and I'm sorry, I gotta stand up.
I was not.
There.
No, you brought up Fael. That was all
No,
you.
she brought up
I
Fael.
did because I hate her so much, but I also hate that part of
But how
myself.
can you hate Fael so much and love me? Like, I am fucking Fael. Like, that's who I am.
I'm gonna have to reckon with that another day.
Everybody hates Fael.
Everybody hates Fael.
With good reason.
Bothers my heart. Like,
I think that what it is actually about Fael, first of all, I don't like that
Perrin needs her. Perrin.
No, he does.
She manipulated Loyal, which upset me.
Okay.
Like that whole thing.
A lot of it is the way that she treated Loyal.
Like that. I mean, also like Perrin's response to her is irritating. Like anytime you like have friends with someone and then they like lose their shit over a girl or a boy, it's annoying. You're like, come on.
Yeah, and I hate.
You're a person outside from them, and it felt like Perrin. It felt like Perrin was like all.
Are you talking about like whenever like she went missing and like how like crazy he went to get her back?
Even before she went missing.
Even before that, like he was always like walking on eggshells to keep her.
But that's because like he didn't want to own the way right. It's like the whole like love language stuff. Like you need to give people you need to love a person like how they want to be loved, not how you want to be loved.
But
like,
it doesn't need to always be one direction.
Her.
He's always giving to her. What does she give to him?
She gives everything. Like
no. She doesn't. And I know this because now I know that I'm Fael.
No, she does. Like, she is very hard about trying to lift her man up. Like, we're not going to, like, all Tammy Wynette on this shit.
No,
like,
she tries to lift her man up so that he can be worthy of her.
No, see, I don't have that perspective on it at all. She thinks Perrin is worthy of it in and of himself and is selling himself short. And
no, because she can never be with someone.
No, that's not it.
No, I mean, Perrin is for sure selling himself short.
Like,
he legit does. He's like, I can't do this.
And she's like, yes, you can. Yes, you can.
I'm going to need you to help me process this a little bit.
I'm just, all right. So
you have to cut out this whole Fael. Like,
no, because my bookend was going to be, let's all talk about our favorite character, which apparently we've not been able to hold back on. So, the bookend. Mm-hmm. So, let's start with you, April. Who's your favorite character?
Varen.
Varen is your favorite character.
100%.
Why is Varen your favorite?
I like how she seems like a background character. and she's never to the forefront, but she's been carrying a heavy load. You know, she's been sacrificing what other people think of her. She's a fucking hero, but she never gets credit for it. She seems vague and absent, and she's so strong, and she doesn't give a fuck what anybody thinks about her. She has her eye on the prize, and she just keeps putting one foot in front of the other. I mean, I just fucking love her. And she's funny. She's so funny. She's fucking adorable.
And she's brown or black. Black, brown?
No, she's
both. I mean, you can both.
yeah. Okay.
Spoilers.
I would like to hear one of you say one bad thing about Varen.
No, thank you.
You can't. You can't. She's flawless.
Mm-hmm. Those are different things. Say someone's flawless, and you can't say something bad. But no, Varen's fantastic.
I love her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's your favorite FIEL?
Yeah. Well, so because everyone, your podcast is going to get so much hate mail, so I'm gonna say my actual favorite, and then I'm gonna say a favorite that
I love how
everyone
you assume we get mail. First of all,
that everyone won't blow you up for. But yeah, no, FIEL is by far my absolute favorite.
You know what? I feel like if I reread the books and cast FIEL with your face, I'd love it.
It would be difficult to hate FIEL if she looked like Cayte Peach.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. I don't. Anyway, I think, and I do. I mean, I'm very, very aware that FIEL is not a loved member of the WOT community, but I come at her from. I think a lot of times, people don't understand a character in which they don't particularly identify with, but I identify with her a whole lot, and so then I think, therefore, I am more forgiving and understanding of her flaws. I mean, she's very flawed. I'm not arguing that. She's very flawed, but I identify with those, and those are flaws I have myself, and maybe I'm a horrible human being in myself, but I don't think so.
Well, so when I was a senior in high school, I had this one teacher who I will not name because she did not live up to what I thought of her. But in this class that she taught humanities, it was a senior elective, and we did all this fun stuff, like all of this stuff that was supposed to teach you about yourself, and I thought she was so deep, but it turns out she's really not. In any case, one of the things that she had us do was she was like, I want you to write 3 things that you hate about yourself on a piece of paper, and do not show them to anyone. If you do, you'll regret it. And then everybody did that, and we all laughed, and we talked, and we were like, you can't see. And then she was like, okay, those 3 things that you just wrote are what you secretly fear about yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
And that is probably why I hate FIEL, is it's what I secretly fear about. I'm afraid of that. I don't want to be her, but maybe I am. And whereas you're like, she's me.
And that's how I feel about Naive.
Is Nynaeve your favorite?
No, Nynaeve is not my favorite. But the things about her that I hate are things I hate about myself. My favorite is Matrim. Because I
can say that. Because
he's so fun, and I like the idea of this a lightning rod, because things just happen around him because it's Tim Varen or whatever. And I think he's funny and he's fun, and he steps up when he has to, but he doesn't always. If it's not necessary.
But that's not you at all.
It's not, but I like him. I think he's interesting and fun. And then I think as a runner-up, I like Elaine the best.
Elaine's real low on my list.
No one likes really. I mean, everyone likes Elaine, but no one likes Elaine. And I like her because I feel like even though she was given everything, she still is constantly fighting for multiple sides. She doesn't.
She's not just a product of her upbringing.
She's like, this is who I am. This is what I'm responsible for. And even though I also believe in these things, I'm still going to fight for what I'm responsible for. Because I'm responsible for these people beyond and above.
I do love that about her. She was raised to believe that she had a responsibility to a greater good. And also, she was told very specifically how to behave. And she was still somehow able to turn off the programming of that,
Yeah.
And, if I was going to be ruled by a monarch, I'd be okay with her.
I like Elaine.
Yeah. And her brother's not bad.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
What?
This podcast is never going to end if we don't quit talking.
What's so bad about her brother?
Well, which one are we talking about?
Oh, I forgot.
Which one are you talking about?
Oh, I was talking about the one where Bran falls out of the tree and they're
What
both
about
like.
Gawain?
I was talking about
Oh,
Gawain.
Lord.
Well, he was cuter as a
Gawain's
kid.
the
Like so
worst.
many men, they were cuter.
And
as
I
boys.
love Fael, and I mean, Gawain's
Maybe I have higher expectations for women than I do for men.
Who's your most hated
I'm
character?
trying to think about this.
I mean,
Nope.
I know the dark one is like an
There's
obvious
someone
choice,
in your heart.
but
If I had to say it, like, if I just had to pick, like, say my gut reaction, it'd be Nynaeve. Like, I fucking hate Nynaeve in the books. It's so hardcore.
And this is like a problem that
So
I have.
hard.
That this is a problem that I think a lot of male writers have about women. They have a very difficult time making strong female characters
Not
that
be a
aren't
fucking
bitches.
bitch.
I think
It's
But
not the
Jordan
same
gets
thing.
so much credit for writing females well, and it's always something I've never agreed with. Like, I think he did a good job for the time, but do I think he just did a good job? No. But it's a lot of times like, I hear females say
It was a
that, and
stepping
like,
stone.
I just don't agree.
I feel like
Anyways.
if you're going to give Robert Jordan credit for something, he laid the first stepping stone to seeing female characters, as something fodder for the deeper plan.
Tuon's pretty
fucking hate Tuon.
And
Tuon's-
how does Matt?
How does Matt fall in love with Tuon? Like, that's a problem for me because Tuon is so horrible as a human. And she's just not a very good person at all.
At all.
I
At all.
She's
feel like I
even,
just
like-
like stirred the pot.
It's not even like you like, oh, you know, like even if it weren't for the slavery, she'd be alright. She's still fucking horrible.
But you know who I do love? Oh gosh, and I've only done this series one time, but the one who's the pilot for the Shan-Shan, the Shan-Shan, and she like hooks up with the sailor dude from the other thing, and she like rejects all of her training. Y'all know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
I
And
love
I'm so sad
her.
right now. I don't know how. It's only because I've been drinking and I'm blanking on her
I
name.
love
Oh, well,
her.
she goes by two. So she goes by Lylewyn at the end.
Yes.
But that's her rename because it's not her actual.
I love her so much.
Yeah, she's good.
I love. I mean, it's like an Amelia Earhart kind of a vibe, you know? She like takes to the skies.
But I do like, but also like she takes like I'm just not with the she takes way too personally that like she gets dismissed and like discredited from the Shan-Shan. Like she like eats that into her soul, and I'm just not one of those people. I'm gonna be like, fuck you. I'm still a good, hardworking, amazing human being. Like
talk a minute about how cool Brigitte is.
Okay, can I say this is something that we pronounce differently?
How do you say it?
It's Brigitte.
You say
I
Brigitte?
say Brigitte.
Okay.
But it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't matter. But yeah, she's fucking amazing.
I love her.
I love
she
her.
is.
Like whatever
She is
reincarnation of
amazing.
her that's around. All right. I think that we've covered
Everything.
a lot of the bases. I think not anywhere near everything.
No,
We could
it's
have
such a big world.
150 more podcasts and not cover everything.
And that's the beauty of it.
Of the Wheel of Time. And this is not even the first time we've talked about the Wheel of Time on the show. Right. But I think at this point, it might be time. So, Katie, thank you so much
Thank you so much.
for coming and sharing your expertise on the Wheel of Time with us.
You know what I love so much?
What?
I love how the Robert Jordan
Yeah.
did so much world building, and here on this episode, we've done a lot of friendship building,
Ah.
Oh,
a lot of
so
co-reader building,
Ah.
and I hope that continues to grow. But until then,
Eat the books, motherfucker.
wait till you stop it.